This generation of men is absolutely cooked, okay? Being indoctrinated from both sides of the aisle and constantly being pushed with all of these simpish, blue-pilled behaviors. I mean, this isn't necessarily the straw that broke the camel's back, but this is something that I seen, and it's like, man, this is kind of a bridge too far, okay? Like, even if you go back, oh God, this is not the most egregious example, okay? Like, I seem to remember, a certain e-thought that was out there, Belle Delphine selling her bathwater, but I guess this time around for $8, you can get a bar of soap about it, and kind of fix yourself up a little bit, but Sweeney is selling 5,000 bars of soap that contains drops of her own bathwater in collaboration with Dr. Squatch. Okay, I think that's one of those grooming brands like a Dollar Shave Club, and I forget the other ones that are out there. I don't watch those videos that promote that type of stuff, Manscaped and whatever crap like that. But yeah, I think it's something like that. And here's the thing, okay, like even if you just went through the comments on this, okay, we'll get back to that article, but yeah, there's people who's like, oh my God, my girlfriend is gonna be mad when I buy this soap. Gamer Girl Bathwater 2.0, 1000% correct. And yeah, I mean, it's like simps are gonna simp, and that's the problem, man. All of this stuff is being reinforced. And weirdly enough, like, you guys have heard me talk about Sweeney before, I'm not somebody who is mesmerized by her good looks. In fact, I kind of take the piss out of her time and time again because I think that she's got a funky wheel alignment. Like, she's got, a banging body, 1000%. And I think that she has a tremendous personality. I'm not even, being hack or trite about that. I think that, she's generally good-natured, and I think that she's kind of based as well, which is all well and good. It's just, hey, man, it's like, I don't know which way to look. I think she had a history of being cheated on in high school because she's constantly, just making sure that nobody else has got an eye for the guy that she's watching. I digress. But Dr. Squatch and Sweeney are leaving a lot of money on the table. 5,000 bars of soap. I bet you they're probably already sold out, because simping and pedestalizing women, that's kind of been the cause du jour for, some people would say 5-10 years. No. This is generational. At this point in time, like, I was born in 1990, right? However you want to categorize that, late millennial, early millennial, I'm not entirely sure at this point in time, but regardless, I'm a product, thankfully I'm an outlier of this, but the millennials are a product of the first full generation that have been through a proper childhood where feminism is the ruling edict of the land. What do I mean by this? Post-sexual revolution, the invention of the hormonal birth control pill, 1966, where everything really started to change. We're the first generation of people who grew up without a intact nuclear family, now raising the next generation of broken households. We're the first people, to really not know their entire life, okay, to be raised by parents that had a higher propensity of not having both parents in their home. And this is what happens, okay? You're buying chicks bathwater. The fact that that's even on sale kind of lets you know how far things have fallen and how cooked guys really are. But you will buy it and you will get ridiculed for it, justifiably so. Because it's one thing if you're subscribing to one of these, hygiene and healthcare boxes and that just shows up, I'd be a little bit put off by it if I was subscribed to it. But the fact that they think that they can pop a rating because of this is a damning indictment. So rejoice, weirdos. Sweeney is selling a soap made for her from her very own bathwater. You read that right. The 27-year-old Anyone But You actress is now granting everyone and you the chance to purchase her new bathwater infused limited edition soap after fielding an influx of inquiries from rabid fans interested in obtaining the water she sat in while shooting, that makes more sense, a viral Dr. Squatch ad last year. When your fans start asking you for your bathwater, you can either ignore it or just turn it into a bar of Dr. Squatch soap, Sweeney said in a press release. It's just weird in the best way, and I love that we created something that's not just unforgettable, it actually smells incredible and delivers like every other Dr. Squatch product I love. Hopefully this helps guys wake up to the realities of conventional personal care products and pushes them towards a natural. And see, kind of like the article, like, I'm not going to throw shade at Sweeney. Like, she's actually pushing the right aspects of this. Like, yeah, you should probably take a closer look. And this is something that we look at when I do my health-related stuff over on Rumble. Go check that out, okay? I still do those videos if you were subscribed to the old YouTube channel before it got nuked because I was talking too much truth about the coof and the jabs, but I digress. But yeah, natural healthcare and hygiene products, they're actually like very easy to get, and figuring out which ingredients you don't want in those soaps and lathers is quite important, but it also really does shine a light because honestly, yeah, she probably, as arguably the preeminent hot chick in all of entertainment. I don't think I'm too far out of the box on this one, but all of her social media accounts are probably hit up by guys that have absolutely no hope of even meeting her, let alone hooking up with her. I would imagine her DM Rolodex probably has thousands of guys you know the name of, guys that have millions of followers, and of course all of those guys asking to see Bob's and Vagine. But yeah, she shines light on a phenomenon that not too many guys really know that much about, because a blue-pilled mentality, like old world, you're my woman and I am your man type mentality, that shit doesn't work in 2025. Hell, it stopped working at the advent of the internet, if we're going to be completely honest. But the moment that the sexual marketplace went global, with social media and forums even before that, was the moment that the intersexual dynamics changed forever. Because chances are, and I can think of a couple of examples, when you were in school, there were probably chicks somewhat, or at least, close to being as attractive as Sydney Sweeney. And if you worked yourself up, if we're going back, okay, if we're setting ourselves back a few generations, okay, you worked yourself up, you, I don't know, owned a couple of restaurants, or hell, owned a couple of car dealerships or something like that, you would, in your town, you would have access to the hottest chicks that were there. But now, in today's day and age, it's not an over-exaggeration, okay? I've been around chicks. I've met girls on a whim. What's the weirdest shit that you get in your DMs? Okay. And I had one relay me a story about, without getting too graphic, mostly because I don't want this to be, it was the weirdest shit and it's stuck with me forever. Okay. This was from a few years back. I was asking, a girl, it's like, what's the weirdest DM you ever got? Okay. And then she just, sent it over to me and it's like, guys actually think that this works, huh? That's fucking wild, huh? But, how he wanted to kidnap her, throw her in the basement, and it ended up involving a dog and her falling in love with her. It makes makes for a mind-numbing read, but it's the type of shit and the thought process laid bare, that conventional advice that has been driven into guys' heads for generations is absolute nonsense, and the quality advice that is out there immediately gets demonized, shut down, and othered, because if we're going to be honest, simps keep the economy going strong. Because honestly, okay, I don't know how much, Dr. Squatch all-natural soaps normally go for, but $8? Like, bro, on sale at Costco, I can get, 3 or 4 bottles of body wash that'll last me for an entire year for $8. But I digress. It's the messaging from both sides, okay, from both the left and from the right, that cause these products to hit the market, okay? Even when they're just blatantly telling you, hey, take a look at tits, buy the hot girl's bathwater, but you're still a weirdo. You're a fucking freak for doing this stuff, but hey, it's on sale, and it wouldn't be on sale unless people were demanding it. Like Sweeney says, your fans start asking you for bathwater, you can either ignore it, or you can market it, you fucking freaks. Without going into too many details, like, the left understands that they have ostensibly lost a generation. It was far too overt. Like, for a long time, they were experts at subverting masculinity and prioritizing the messaging that all masculinity is toxic masculinity. And it worked with a fairly large chunk of my generation. Somebody who was brought up ostensibly conservative, and like I said, I'm kind of an anomaly when it comes to millennials. It's like, my parents are still together. They have been. They're exceptionally happy. They managed to buck the trend of their generation, as even though, well, actually now, all of my grandparents have passed away. They grew up in 2-parent households, so I can honestly say most of my friends growing up, I can only think of one that didn't come from a broken household. And even going back a generation on that, I think that might be contentious in and of itself. But no, as the Democratic Party and the leftist parties in general are the parties of handouts and free rides, your single moms and your children of broken homes are just naturally inclined to get in the Gibbsme's. And as such, when the other side of the aisle, one political figure comes along and instead of, offering handouts, says, here's a ladder and you can go ahead and climb to success if you're so inclined. And that naturally speaks to a biological predilection of men. We're natural problem solvers. That's the way that our minds work. So by a lot of guys thinking that relationships with women are transactional, I have resources, she has sex, I want sex, I solve her problems, I get sex. That's not how shit works. Whenever you're watching a YouTube stream, this is the perfect way to go ahead and just, see this shit writ large. Whenever somebody gets big butthurt about not having their super chat read either in a prompt fashion or it's not elaborated on to their liking, and they get bitchy about that, these are the same guys that are going to get upset and butthurt and go on social media and scold the chick. It's like, oh, I took her out to dinner and she didn't even want to do anything and she just left and it was a bad date. It's like, no. This idea that you're owed something, this idea that you can negotiate genuine desire is a fabrication and bullshit. Because Democrats and the leftist parties have seen men wanting better for themselves, taking the call for self-care and self-improvement more seriously in recent years. They're spending $20 million on figuring out how they can speak to American men, seeing if they can find their own Joe Rogan guys that, can resonate with what used to be the Democratic platform, what used to be a leftist party's talking points, okay? They used to be the blue-collar party, okay? They used to be the party of unions and hardworking guys, but now they're just, campaign socialists, elitists, people that believe that they have the moral high ground without being able to elaborate on their positions. They have lost touch with reality, and the only people that they resonate with are an ever-shrinking demographic because they aren't reproducing, whereas the blue-collar guys, well, they are, but they're also finding themselves in very contentious relationships. But the messaging, okay, the $20 million has apparently led to the Democrats bringing on Olivia Juliana, okay, some giant psychopath, and she's helping to guide the Democrats, to find a way to appeal to male voters. And what is she saying? Y'all are a bunch of pussies. Okay, cool. That's the exact same messaging that the right is bringing over. And here's the thing, man, the whole self-improvement, guys becoming more masculine, just basically trying to get guys to herald the call of, man up, okay? You guys need to become better men, not for yourselves, okay? Guys who push that type of messaging, your Andrew Tates, Fresh and Fit podcast types, no, they get pushed over in the corner as just evil misogynists who hate women. No, you need to become better men for women. It's like, I beg your pardon? Become better women. Oh, fantastic. Okay. Guys need to go ahead, get in shape. They need to be 6 feet tall. They need to have six-pack abs, and they need to have a 6-digit income, but not like a $100,000. No, like $200,000 and $300,000 because, you need to be able to afford a luxurious 8-bedroom house. They need to drive, a G-Wagon to drive around their fucking 300-pound fat ass. What are women offering in this equation, okay? Because if you want to harken back to traditionalism, I'm a traditional conservative woman. I want to stay at home. I just want to have a family, and I just want to love my husband. Okay, cool. What are you actually offering? What are you offering in this equation? A bitchy disposition, a lot of student debt, and a sexual history that we can count in miles per dick that you used to take back in college. Like, why the fuck? Why the fuck would guys line up for shit like this? Because, okay, the right is trying to push this whole return to traditionalism when in actuality, we can't go back to the 50s. Okay, there's no going back. Nobody's putting the genie of hormonal birth control back in the lamp. The 19th Amendment is not going to be getting revoked. And guys cannot go out right now and get a virgin on their wedding day. But no. The desires of men always need to get tamped down because the desires and the whims of women constantly get pedestalized, both on the left and on the right. I mean, you got the perfect example. Somebody that spurged out in 2020 and then managed to cuck a blue-pilled athlete in JP Arancibia to fucking put a ring on this disaster area. Tommy Lahren, okay? Gen Z rebrands laziness as stay-at-home sons. Really? Okay, just like they did with quiet quitting. Stay-at-home sons. Well, that's interesting because I've really heard a lot about that phenomenon. I've heard an awful lot about, stay-at-home daughters. I've heard an awful lot about, professional girlfriends, sugar babies, and chicks that can go ahead and post their feet and their ass on OnlyFans and have different guys saved in their cell phones as lunch and dinner and Uber. But stay-at-home sons, huh? That's interesting. Okay, just like they did with quiet quitting. But let's be honest, the real crisis is the feminization of men, and who's pushing that exactly? Who's not offering alternatives and instead is doing the exact same shit that the left is doing? Young women want families. Yeah, they want everything, but they offer nothing. They don't offer chastity. They don't offer femininity. They want the world, and in exchange, you should just be happy by their presence. Too many young men want DoorDash in mama's basement. Yeah, see, you need to wife up, or you need to man up and wife these hoes. That's why so many guys are fucking punching out, okay, if we're gonna be completely honest, okay? Because this is a post from, oh god, back in March or something like that, and I thought I seen it go around, you know, vids that go hard, all of these little, you know, goofy, you know, metalworking videos, cool cooking and craft stuff. They've been constantly popping up on my Twitter feed, and I think that they're very interesting. And yeah, you see this guy, okay, this Lego project cost him $200,000 in 2 marriages. Well, the fact that you got married for a second time, just, I guess some people take a little bit longer to learn, but yeah, but it's the coolest thing I've ever fucking seen. Yeah, exactly, man. You take a look at this and holy shit, man. Like he's, yeah, properly recreated. What, Tatooine? Is that supposed to be like Jabba's palace? No, it doesn't quite look like Jabba's palace. Might be some EU set or something like that. I'm not entirely sure about that, but yeah, underneath, okay. Yeah, this might be some Clone Wars type shit that I'm not entirely sure about, but yeah, holy Christ. Like, you look at that and it's all motorized, and I'm just scrolling through it because video doesn't quite go as quickly as I want. Oh, okay, yeah, so it's obviously, yeah, some battle droid factory or something like that, but holy shit, like, that's awesome. Like, the amount of master, and then he also has a screen in the backwards, bro, that's a master at his craft, okay? Like, I could see that, and I look at that like somebody who's also restoring an old classic car, okay? And to shout out to those other videos, but guys who do like metal work, okay, from the ground up, crafting great swords with, you know, very intricate, interwoven golden inlays on the handles, doing proper leather craft for shields, all of that stuff is immensely impressive, and I love to see a master at his work. And the reason that this post, even though it should go viral every once in a while for just the amount of work that it's been done, okay, but no, you got one of these traditional tradwives, which is so fucking hilarious. You want to go ahead and, you know, market yourself as being somebody, oh my god, I'm tired of that stupid spinning wheel that's there, but yeah, you want to go ahead and market yourself and rebrand yourself as being a, you know, independent wife and mother. Oh, that's very funny. Independent, huh? A wife and mother. Something tells me that that description doesn't quite line up with a traditional interpretation of wife and mother. What the fuck are you supposed to be independent of? Your husband? No, because you control his movements. This is what guys are supposed to sign up for. Guys who are adhering to traditional conservative values. My husband commits about an hour a day to his hobbies. That is sustainable. Well, there's 24 hours in a day. You sleep for 8 of them. You work for another 8. That leaves, let me see, a beautiful 8 hours. And you say that he's allowed to have an hour for his hobbies? The fuck do you bring to the table other than a use up old cock holster that the little fucking beanie bro used to use on occasion? Like, what? This is what guys need to sign up for. And you wonder why they've checked out. You wonder why simping has become such an intense epidemic. Because guys, guess what? They still want to get with chicks, okay? But the messaging that is out there is fucking horrific. They aren't giving you answers. They aren't telling you that competence leads to confidence, which leads to accomplishments. They aren't telling you to hit the gym, not to see if you can get that baddie, you know, if you can go ahead and, you know, get her off of her phone long enough, you know, stop her filming long enough for you to strike up a potential conversation. No, so that you get there, so that you get your fat ass in physical fucking shape. So that you can look in the mirror and actually see your toes. That you, instead of working on your hobbies, that you waste your time chasing after chicks, you can go ahead and put that into a side hustle. You can put that into a hobby that will actually produce results. Because a guy that can go ahead and create something beautiful like that using Lego means that he obviously has the predilection and has the capacity for engineering, meaning he can extrapolate that skill out there and then put himself on track to have a 6 or a 7-digit gig, putting himself in the driver's seat so that he's the desirable one, not going out there and chasing women. Properly chasing excellence instead of chasing all of these used up pseudo covert, or in some cases simply overt feminists. Feminism is rampant on both sides of the aisles. Don't let it confuse you. And it's achievable for every guy if they properly and positively get on the right track. Stop your fucking simping. Stop with the OnlyFans. Stop with the $8 on soap. And if you've already placed an order for that fucking soap, put it to good use so you don't smell and you can make something out of yourself instead of using it as fucking pseudo lube while you're watching old reruns of Euphoria when Sydney gets her fucking titties out. With all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Coswell, and I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.